Hi, everybody. This is Tommy Lasorda. Listen to the Sandlot. The best thing that could happen to you.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Are you crying?
It's a part of our past, Ray.
There's no crying.
It reminds us of all that once was good.
There's no crying in baseball.
Just a bit outside.
Baseball be very, very good to me.
It's a simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball.
Personally, I think we got holes on that.
The Sandlot Radio Network is on the air. And now, starting pitcher for the Sandlot, former pro player and Major League scout, Ted Howard.
Welcome to the Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. It's a place of our own. It's our field. It's our neighborhood. It's our team. It's our home. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network and sponsored by Econo Air, South Bay Credit Union, Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball, and Max Graphics and Printing. The Sandlot returns for its 12th season and second on our new home, Fox Sports Radio 610 AM and 106.7 FM. We look forward to bringing you the childhood stories from the biggest names in baseball, including players, coaches, scouts, front office personnel, and even media, as they reflect on their road to the big leagues. In last week's show, the first of the 2025 season, we introduced a brand new format which includes a weekly guest host, a former major leaguer, to do our Who's Hot, Who's Not opening segment, where we do a rundown on the hottest and coldest teams and players in MLB. Last week's Who's Hot, Who's Not segment was co-hosted by the one and only Ryan Spilborghs. He's a former major leaguer. He's a Cal State Santa Barbara grad. He's a Rockies color guy and a sideline reporter. He's on Apple TV and he's on MLB Network XM Radio. This week's Who's Hot, Who's Not segment is co-hosted by a former major leaguer, middle infielder, Clint Barmes, a former teammate of Ryan Spilborghs and a 13-year major league veteran. Clint Butch Barmes, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sandlot.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Now, we're not quite a month into this Major League Baseball season. We got an early start. We started the season early this year. Spring training was shorter. And right now, some of the teams that you would expect to be winning have been. And then there's some surprises. But if we start with the American League East, you know, one of the most powerful divisions in baseball traditionally, because they got the Yankees and the Red Sox. But right now, the Yankees are 10-7, and Toronto's right on their heels at 10-8. And when you think about the fact that Vlad Guerrero signed that extension that's going to keep him around there for a really long time, that might have really brought them together, because last year there was a lot of question about where he would be.
Oh, for sure. But no, I mean, that's a huge boost to that program for sure. And you know, what he does and what he brings is going to make them better every day anyway. And yeah, they're going to be up there. They're going to be battling. I see them up there all season, and you know, it's going to be exciting to watch Vladdy continue, because he's a pretty electric player. He's pretty fun to watch for sure.
And he's one of those guys that's different when you watch him take BP. The ball makes a different sound off the bat. And over the years, there's been a few players that you and I both have been up close to witness. You know, we had Matt Holliday. The ball sounded different off of his bat. Bonds in his heyday, and the ball sounded different off his bat. Sammy Sosa, same thing. And there's guys that there's something about their contact point, the impact of center of mass on ball, center of mass on bat, that makes the sound that is special.
Well, and you watch them take BP, like two of those thrown in there too. Like you guys watch those guys swing, and it's almost effortless. They're not over swinging, not swinging too hard. It's just, man, they make contact, like you're saying. A ball off the bat is just different, and it's definitely fun to watch. And I got to witness a lot of guys that could do that for sure. And it was pretty special for me to be standing at shortstop and feel like when Bonds would come to the plate, holy cow, from the left side, you know, it felt like he was a power right-handed hitter. Like you were definitely, your attention goes up when those type of guys come up for a hard ground ball or a low line drive. It keeps you on your toes for sure.
Also in that American League East division, the Red Sox are 9-10, but they made a couple moves, getting Alex Bregman over there at third base, and he's off to an unreal start. We talked a little bit about this before. Let's talk about that change of scenery and what it might have meant for him.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, some guys it helps, some guys it doesn't. And you move teams, and you're in a whole different group of guys, and just, I mean, Boston, from Houston to Boston, that's a big difference. And so, I mean, for him to have the start, which obviously he's a great player, and he's going to play well wherever he plays. I believe that, just stepping in and making the impact he has so far. I mean, it's going to be huge for those guys. And you also talk about making those moves. We talked a little bit about Trevor Story making that move, and obviously he has some injuries that probably played a huge part of his first time in Boston and being over there, which was sad. But you get him going, and you get Bregman going. It's going to be a fun season for those guys.
And he's off to a good start, which is really nice to see, after all the injuries, but he started off really hot, Trevor Story. Rounding out that American League East, of course, Tampa Bay is always tough, low budget, payroll, but they always seem to be there in the end. And then the Orioles are at the bottom of the pack right now at 6-10, but man, that team is loaded with young talent. And once all of them get hot, they're going to be in the middle of that pack for sure.
Oh yeah, it's still really, really early, but yeah, I see them competing. That whole division, man, it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
Now we pop over to the American League Central, and it's no surprise that the Detroit Tigers are 10-7 because, as we talked before, they got maybe the best pitching staff in all of baseball. In the American League for sure, and 1 through 5, they got some guys that can really go out there and give you quality innings, which takes, a lot of pressure off of your bullpen. I think that they're going to be there down the stretch and right on their tails, the Cleveland Guardians. I love their manager, and I love their third baseman. They got an Aussie that was their number 1 pick last year in Travis Bazzana, and I could see him being up by the end of the season.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. And yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Like Detroit with the arms, I mean, that's going to give them, a great chance to be there and to be in the thick of it all season. So, that should be very exciting. But yeah, that division too, man, like, wow. You look at, what Kansas City's going to do and what they're capable of doing as well. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. And Kansas City's got another starting rotation that's one of the best in baseball. Some really good young arms. They showed it last year. The Twins, they're a better team than 6-12. And I love their manager too, Rocco. I'd love to see a guy like him at, in a position of authority with the major league club. And the poor Whites.
No, he's done a great job. Oh, I know.
4-12, and they set a record for losses last year. So I hope something happens there, because
I really do too.
There's nothing.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, than having a team that looks like a AAA club out there on the field.
Oh man, I was a part of that one year, so I can relate. It makes for a long season, and it's rough all around for the fans, for everybody. And I do hope that they can start picking it up.
Then we go to the West, and we got the Rangers at 10-7, and surprisingly, the Angels are 9-7. I shouldn't say surprisingly, because they really have had great players over the years. They just never can put it together. But maybe with Ron Washington, they'll figure it out, because it's good for this part of. It's really Orange County to have a team that can compete, because I went to a game and watched Mike Trout lead off with the triple, and then here comes Shohei with the triple, back-to-back triples, and Shohei pitched 7 innings that night, and there was like 23,000 people. I couldn't understand it.
I don't get that either, but I love that Trout's been as loyal as he has, and the type of player that he is. But I really do. I push for the Angels. I'd love to see him do well and help that team end up at the end of the season, competing and contending for the postseason.
Let's just hope he stays healthy, because a healthy Mike Trout is one of the best players in the history of the game. But man, he's gone through some injuries that have really prevented him from sharing those talents with the rest of the baseball world.
True. Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, what he's done already is special. So yeah, keeping him healthy is huge for that team. But man, for him and for his sake, like I've always been a fan. It's always been fun competing against him and getting to watch him up close. And I wish him nothing but the best. And hopefully he can, that team can do some good things this year.
We jump over to the National League, and it's no surprise that the Mets are at 11-6 leading that division, with the Phillies right behind him at 10-7. But when you go out and get Soto and you keep Pete Alonso, because that was a big deal for them when there was rumors about him leaving, I thought that could be disruptive to their team. And they kept him, and they got Soto, and that just makes all the difference in the world.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, those two guys in the same lineup, but yeah, like you're saying, you kind of wonder what the what the feeling is in the clubhouse sometimes with all that went on with Alonso, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be shaken much. He's very, very confident in his abilities and what he brings, and I really don't see that being a big issue in the clubhouse. With the way that everything went, but certain guys and certain characters, can definitely make a big difference inside a clubhouse. But it looks to me like they're going to be just fine. I think it's definitely heading in the right direction.
And the Phillies are so good that's going to be a great race all the way through. And the Braves are down at the bottom at 5-12, and I don't see that happening all year. Once they get healthy and start playing well, the Braves will be in the middle of that as well.
I agree. And yeah, they're too good not to be.
Jump over to the Central, and we got the Cubbies led by Mr. Council at 12-8. And, I expect them to win that division. When the Brewers got rid of their shortstop, I just don't think they're going to be as good of a team without him. The Reds got one of the most exciting players in baseball playing shortstop for them, and they're 9-8, hanging in there. But I always question about their pitching.
True. Yeah. And, what's your take on the Cardinals right now?
For me, the last couple of years has been disappointing for the Cardinals. For me, as a guy that grew up watching the Cubs-Cardinals rivalry and really appreciating that Cardinal franchise, it's kind of gone backwards, and it's a disappointment for all of the Midwest because there's so many Cardinal fans there in the middle part of the country.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I grew up a Cardinal fan. Southern Indiana, it was the closest stadium to my hometown. And so, we'd have a lot of Reds and Cubs fans as well, but majority were Cardinal fans. And yeah, I know that it's tough. It's tough on a lot of people back where I'm from, for sure.
And then you got the Pirates at the bottom, but man, they got some of the best arms in baseball and probably the best in Paul Skeens. So, they're going to make a move. It's just their offense just doesn't support those arms.
Yeah. No, and again, like I'm sure there's a lot of talk with the getting to the next division with the Rockies as well. It's like, man, bringing some guys in that are going to impact and help get your program going. Like you need to bring some guys in. It's easier said than done. I get it, but it just seems like, man, they just haven't put enough guys together to really get it going.
And that National League West, man, it's been unbelievable. The Dodgers start out 8-0. The Padres are now 14-4. The Giants are 12-5, and the Dodgers are 13-6. So the Dodgers, who started out 8-0, are in third place in that division right now. And the D-backs are right there at 10-7. So the whole division, except for the Rockies, are playing great baseball. Like they're the best division in all of baseball.
Yeah. And obviously spending most of my time with the Rockies and knowing that division very well, man, that's always been a tough division, and guys beating up each other, year in, year out, but it always seemed like the Dodgers, the Giants, and Padres and the Diamondbacks. Everybody had their time up there, and it's always been a grind for the Rockies just to compete in that division, and it's a powerhouse in the National League for sure.
And it's going to be a tough year for the Rockies if they don't make some moves. And it's been a disappointment for a while. The ownership there just really hasn't given the Colorado Rockies fans a chance to be competitive. Like they're just not.
Yeah, no, it's been tough. It is tough, and that's all the fans want. But again, they still show up. They still support, which says a lot for the people out here. I know early on in my career, it was like we were playing on the road all year long, because anytime a big team would come in, we'd have just as many fans for them as we did for us. And I think that has changed now, which is good. So it's like, it is a little frustrating as a fan to not bring in some guys that are going to give you a chance to compete.
He's Clint Barmes. He's a former major leaguer. Now he's helping out coach's son Wyatt's Berthoud High School baseball team, 100% volunteer. Hey, Clint, I want to thank you for being a guest host on our Who's Hot, Who's Not segment of the Sandlot.
I appreciate it, man. Like always, it's good to talk to you, and I really appreciate you bringing me on.
Thanks, brother. We're going to go to a break. Don't go away. When we return, we have the 38th player in Major League history from Australia to get to the big leagues. Last year, he was with the Oakland A's. Now he's with the Rockies. He is Aussie Jack O'Loughlin. We're on KAVL Fox Sports Radio 610 AM and 106.7 FM. We are Fox Sports. The Sandlot is where everybody plays. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network.
This is National League All-Star Justin Upton.
Hi, this is Shane Victorino.
Hi, this is Albert Pujols.
Hi, this is David Wright.
It's Derek Jeter of the New York Yankees, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
The heat was unbearable. My AC was striking out and my house felt like a summer game with no shade. Then I called EconoAir. What a game changer. They knocked the heat out of the park and now I'm comfortable year-round. Give EconoAir a call today at 714-333-0130. That's 714-333-0130. Sandlot listeners mention the show for an exclusive discount on maintenance or repair with EconoAir.
Why choose South Bay Credit Union? As a nonprofit credit union, they're here to serve you, not shareholders. That means they're able to provide better rates, fewer fees, and more valuable benefits to empower their members to live better and do better. You want to master your money? South Bay Credit Union puts you in control of your money with everyday banking solutions. From checking accounts to home mortgages, credit cards to auto loans, their members have access to the tools they need to achieve their financial goals now and in the future.
Hi, everybody. This is Rick Mundy, former Major League player, former All-Star, and now broadcaster with the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're tuned in exactly where you need to be. It's Sandlot, and it's baseball.
Talking baseball, the man and Bobby Fella, the Scooter, the Barber, and the Duke. They knew them all from Boston to Dubuque, especially Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
Welcome back to the Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. We're on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. Thanks again to former Major League player and current assistant coach for his son Wyatt's team, Clint Barmes, for being a special guest host in our Who's Hot, Who's Not segment in the opening segment on the Sandlot. Now we have Australian left-handed pitcher for the Colorado Rockies, who will represent Australia in the WBC next year, all the way from Adelaide, Jack O'Loughlin. Beautiful day at spring training, Scottsdale, Arizona, Talking Stick, Salt River. What a beautiful complex, Jacko. I'm with Jack O'Loughlin. He's a left-handed pitcher all the way from Australia, but he has some roots from New Zealand. Let's talk about how you started playing this game, because Aussies and New Zealand dudes don't necessarily play baseball.
Definitely. It's not the most typical sport to be playing in Australia, but my dad came over from New Zealand when he was younger, and he grew up playing softball. So it was one of those things, as he picked up softball when he was in Australia, he met a few people that ended up getting him out to play baseball. And before you know it, there I was playing baseball, and it just kind of stuck. And here I am today.
Here you are today, a left-handed pitcher that's been to the big leagues, the 38th in the history of Australia to send a guy to the big leagues. That's not a lot when there's 24 million people there. But you think about over a 30, 40-year period of time, only getting 38 guys there. Man, you are one of literally a million.
When you put it that way, like, I've never thought about it that way, but that is very true. It is not a lot of guys, but I think there will be some to come. That's definitely for sure.
Let's talk about the road, because, man, 9 years in the minor leagues, this is not the easiest road to go. And it's not something that you understand being an Aussie at a young age. Nobody really teaches you about how hard this minor league's going to be.
Definitely. It's the minor leagues it's a grind. It's definitely a grind. I spent almost 8 full years in the minor leagues before I made it to the big leagues, and it was a grind. There was a lot of games, a few injuries along the way, rehab, but just showing up each day. And I was fortunate enough that one day it was my time, and couldn't wish for anything different, to be honest.
When you got up there, you've done really well, to the point where these teams have to consider you as an arm in the major leagues.
I would definitely like to think that. It was one of those things that I got up there and just wanted to get out there, throw strikes, and do everything I could to at least give myself a chance and my team a chance to stay in those games. And we tried to do everything we could.
And here with the Rockies, you've had a great spring. You find yourself in AAA. You're going to go to Albuquerque. AAA, man, that is tough baseball. And some of those ballparks are hitters' parks.
Definitely. The PCL is a very hitter-friendly league. So it's one of those things. You just got to go out there, execute pitches, and do your best to keep the ball in the park.
I scouted Australia for a really long time, so I'm familiar with the Australian Youth Championship Series they have. And over the years, I've been to Mount Gambier, Alice Springs, and of course, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Geelong, Lismore, all the spots that they've held these tournaments over the years, I got a chance to go see. And a lot of Aussies haven't been to Mount Gambier. A lot of the Aussies haven't been to Alice Springs. But being a scout, you end up in these really obscure places. And over the years, I got a chance to see pretty much all the kids that made it to the big leagues from Australia. And I signed a couple too.
Definitely. There's some small towns. Growing up in Adelaide, we used to get lots of kids drive up 6 hours from Mount Gambier in the morning, even to state trainings, play games in the afternoon. And then Sunday night, those guys are driving home. Like, people were very committed, and you'll never know where you're going to find a diamond in the rough. That's for sure.
That's what scouting's all about. I think it's become different now with the internet, but back in the day, you really had to go to a place like Mount Gambier to see a Justin Huber who ended up being a major leaguer. So let's talk about some of the guys, because there's been 37 other major leaguers from Australia. Let's talk about some of those other guys and how maybe as a kid you looked up to them and the influence of them playing in the big leagues, how it kind of laid the groundwork for you to do the same.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, I wasn't too familiar with a lot of them. But as I started playing on more state teams and national teams, someone that I ended up getting to know pretty well was Graham Lloyd, another left-handed pitcher who I had coached me at multiple different tournaments, and over the years learned a lot from him. And then even growing up and having Alex Wells a few years ahead of me, seeing him while he was over here and seeing what he's done as well throughout the game. And it was incredible to start to see guys that I even knew, like Curtis Mead, I grew up with, watching these guys and us all go out there and give it everything we had to progress and move on to the next level.
You know, Lloydie at one point was maybe one of the best situational left-handers in the major leagues, to the point where he was on the New York Yankees and winning world championships.
Definitely. Like, that guy his specialty was getting left-handers out. And he made a career out of that, and he walked away with, I think, 2 World Series out of that. Like, that's incredible. And to see him out there still to this day, helping, coaching, like doing everything he can really to give back to the game, it's incredible.
You know, and a lot of people don't understand that there is actually a role for a situational lefty at the major league level. They think if you're a pitcher, you're the guy that's out there, you're going to start the game. You might just come in and face 2 lefties and throw 12 pitches.
Definitely. Like, it's, as much as the game has changed and you can't just be that single left-handed guy, you still see it from team to team, where if there's a situation where there's multiple lefties coming up to bat now, a lefty may come in still, and that might still be his job, is he'll just throw to multiple of them in a row, how lineups are stacked, and that's just how they go about them. Still a situation, but it's just not quite the same as what it once was.
Now, growing up in South Australia, having a dad from New Zealand, you know, that's a little bit more rural than some of the places that you probably played in the minor leagues. But then again, minor league baseball takes you to some really strange places. Let's talk about some of the stops along the way and the culture shock that might have come along with that stop. Because if you go from Adelaide to the Midwest League, for instance, or the South Atlantic League, there's going to be some strange things that you witness that you never witnessed before.
Definitely. Over my first 2 years, even with playing in short season in New York Penn League, which isn't around anymore, you end up in some small towns that if it wasn't for baseball, I don't think you'd even know existed. And then moving on to the Midwest, it was similar. A lot of smaller towns, but it was definitely a little bit of a culture shock. I ended up liking the Midwest League a lot. Like, there was a lot of cool places that you would get to travel to that you were unaware of, and they were beautiful cities and beautiful small towns. So it was incredible to have the chance to be able to spend so much time there in a way and explore more around America, the places that you wouldn't get to go to.
You know, and I played in the minors for 9 years, and all those leagues that you just mentioned, and some of the towns that you end up in, you would never go see. No matter what part of the country, if you're from America or you're from Australia, I'm not going to Batavia, New York. I'm not going to Elmira. Those are places you don't go unless there's a minor league game going on there and you have to be forced to play in it.
That's so true. Some of those bus rides as well, even stopping. When you would have a long bus ride and you get to stop somewhere to get food, you would show up somewhere and it's like, I don't think I would ever stop here in my life. But hey, like, this is a cool little town. It's like you get food and back on the bus, but you get to see it and you're like, this isn't the worst. Like, this is pretty fun.
And every one of those little towns has something. I remember when I was in minor leagues, I'd always look up like, is this where the biggest ball of yarn is? or the biggest rocking chair. Whatever it was, I would go check it out because it's like, I'm never coming back here. This is a once in a lifetime. So I might as well check out whatever it is that this place has to offer.
Definitely. Like even some of those small towns, like even if you don't know what's there, but you wake up in the morning, you go grab a coffee and you just kind of wander around the city and you see what it's all about. Like there's probably been numerous amounts of towns that you've waken up on and you just go for a wander, check out some stores, the mall, and you're like seeing what people do in everyday life here. It's like, this is the normal for them. And you're just kind of watching as you wander around.
And the normal is so much different than it is in Adelaide.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially since like growing up near the water, like there's not a lot of places that have an ocean here like back home. So that's definitely the biggest difference.
Yeah, those Midwest cities that are landlocked, man, there's not a lot in the way of beauty unless you just look at it from a different perspective. Because you're right. I mean, Australia has so much beauty to offer in so many ways.
Definitely. Like growing up in Adelaide, we have the Adelaide Mountains, the hills. We got beaches on beaches. Like it is something that it is a very beautiful city. Quiet, but a really incredible place. Like I'm fortunate to grow up there.
And very clean too. That's one thing I always loved about Adelaide was how clean it was. You know, it's not a dirty city.
Yeah, definitely. It's just you guys call it more like a downtown area. Our downtown area is pretty clean, but it's also not very big. Once you get into the suburbs, especially, like it's just a very residential area. Like a lot of people respect their place and it's just taken care of pretty well. And that's just, I guess, how it's always been there growing up there. Like it's just been the normal for me, I guess, in the end.
So almost a decade in this thing professionally. Going to be in AAA this year. That means you're knocking on the door. The Rockies, traditionally, they bring a lot of guys up and down. You're going to spend time in the big leagues this year. Coors Field's a tough place to pitch. But one thing I know, some of the best pitchers I've seen have success in Coors Field are softer throwing left-handed pitchers.
Definitely. That's the plan, is to pitch well enough to get a chance to get up there with a big league team and then do everything I can to help that team win as well. And it is definitely not a pitcher-friendly park, but I also believe that brings out more of a pitcher. When you know you're in a place that is tougher to pitch in, executing you focus more on and just making sure that you can limit damage is a huge thing.
He's Jack O'Loughlin. He's from Australia. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's been to the big leagues. He's going to start the season in AAA, but we'll see him back there with the Rockies this year in the major leagues. Going to play for the Australian national team in the WBC. And we were talking before, WBC time, Australia is going to show a pretty good squad.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think the boys are going to come together real nicely, and I think we're going to have a really good team.
Playing in that WBC gives a lot of kids hope, too, because two things that I think have been catalysts recently for Australian baseball is Little League World Series. Kids get to see their mates go over there and play at the Little League World Series. And the second thing is the World Baseball Classic, getting to see Australians compete against the best in the world.
Definitely. The Little League World Series now having the opportunity for kids to have a direct path there is huge. Like they get to see their friends go over there, they get to see them play, they get to see what they get to do over there. And it brings out more in the younger generation that they want to do that as well. And then as they grow up, they start to see the national team and finding out about other national teams that you can play on at different age groups. Like it gives kids something to strive for. And definitely like going to the men's national team tournaments and playing against some of the best teams in the world is something that these kids, like, they get to look forward to.
He's number 66 in his spring training garb with the Rockies, but he's number 38 in terms of the number of guys that have been to the big leagues from Australia. Jack O'Loughlin, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Sandlot.
No, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Don't go away. When we return, we have a former professional player turned entrepreneur, Kyle Johnson. You're listening to The Sandlot right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot, it's where everybody plays. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network.
Hey, it's former Major League Baseball player Matt Holliday, and I'm actually known as Jackson Holliday's dad these days. My son was the #1 overall pick, and I got another one on the way. And we still listen to Sandlot Radio proud to be part of the Sandlot Radio family.
South Bay Credit Union features 3 centrally located branches in the South Bay, 24/7 time-saving digital banking tools, over 30,000 free ATMs nationwide, and a 100% commitment to the South Bay. South Bay Credit Union cares about their community. They've contributed over 3,600 employee volunteer hours. Over 20 local organizations have received donations or sponsorships, and they have raised over $150,000 for the Children's Miracle Network. South Bay Credit Union. Live better, do better, bank better.
Looking for printed apparel for your school, business, sports team, or company event? Max Graphics LA is your solution. Go to maxgraphicsla.com today and check out our options. We offer screen printing, embroidery, and more on clothes from major suppliers. Our graphic designers can help you with your logo or design. We also offer custom online retail shops where we take care of all orders and fulfillment. Visit our website at maxgraphicsla.com or call 310-595-1195 today to get started.
Hey folks, this is Andy Van Slyke. If you really want the inside information, the inside secrets of what it means to be a big league player, listen to the Sandlot. You're going to get a perspective about relationships with husbands and wives at the big league level, about sons and fathers at the big league level, and why these guys who got to the big leagues, why they have so much passion. It's because they all started on the Sandlot. So if you want to be educated about baseball, listen to the Sandlot. This is Andy Van Slyke.
I guess destiny ain't always meant to be, kind of like you and me that day. We got course, but course doesn't cut it. Had a good run, end up with nothing but a 3x5 as you hide in a drawer. We swung for the fences and came up short. Yeah, you win some, you lose some, it ain't always home runs, and that's just the way life plays. If we were a team and love was a game.
Welcome back to the Sandlot. It's where everybody plays, right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. Now we have a former pro player and founder of Athlete Locker, Kyle Johnson. Kyle, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sandlot.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
So Kyle Johnson's a Northwest part of the country kid. When you grew up, who were the teams that you followed and the players that you looked up to?
I followed the Cubs. I grew up watching baseball with my great-grandmother on WGN, which was a local station, but daytime baseball. So our favorite player was Sammy Sosa and Alfonso Soriano. Those are the guys I remember growing up.
And no Seattle Mariners.
You know, later when I got into, middle school, high school, I gravitated towards the Mariners, but it was all Cubs when I was young.
I grew up a Cub fan and WGN. I had radio and I had TV when it started coming out, and I watched and listened every day. And so I grew up on Jack Brickhouse and Lou Boudreau. And then later on, it was, of course, Harry Carey.
They did a great job marketing that team. I mean, they hit a lot of kids during the daytime with those day games every day of the week. Like, that was very well done.
We'd have the transistor radio in the backyard cranked as loud as we could, and we'd be playing a game in the backyard, and we'd stop when something happened. I was working on our play-by-play for our game because I thought, one day I might just do that.
I think a lot of kids, a lot of players kind of had that same dream. I know I did. I would practice the play-by-play.
Now, let's talk about at a young age playing backyard Sandlot games. Was there anything that you did to set yourself apart from the other kids, or were there other kids in the neighborhood you could grab and go play some crazy game that was, you didn't know at the time, but it was developing skills?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny looking back. When I was younger, I kind of lived in this neighborhood where it was like one road in, and then it went in a big circle, and then it was that same road went out. So pretty much everybody back in there, we were all kind of like our own little crew. So you could walk around the neighborhood and kind of collect people. And there was a park right in the middle. And whether it was, football, baseball, capture the flag, everybody would kind of meet there, especially on the weekends. And then we would just play something. And then after I moved from Oregon to Idaho, it was all wiffle ball, man. We played wiffle ball constantly in the backyard of the Combo's house. And then I think the game that probably looking back developed me the most was in the wintertime, we'd be in the basement and we'd have that little Mariners, bat that they would give away. It was like 2 feet long, little wood bat. And we would play with ping pong balls. and we would play on our knees in the basement and just smoke ping pong balls that you could move the heck out of, go on our knees around the little bases, and just good times.
You know, and you think about the hand and eye coordination it takes to hit a ping pong ball with a little skinny giveaway, but you know, those things,
exactly,
they have to develop some skills. And you know, I played so many games like that as a kid that you didn't realize were really helping you develop part of your game.
100%. I mean, just the hand-eye coordination and getting comfortable with the ball moving a ton and letting it travel, seeing it a long time, and then just whap and just being quick with the bat and getting it to it. And the harder you tried and the more you tried to do with it, the worse you got. So it really was a reactive game. And there were some guys that would come down to the basement and would do it really well. And then other ones that just struggled. And it was just funny to watch. And it was a blast to play.
The other thing about that, when we did that as kids, it developed creativity where kids had to think outside the box and develop something that was fun to occupy time, but at the same time, develop skills.
100%. And that's, you know, I still do lessons with kids now. And it's very interesting listening to the lack of playing wiffle ball in the backyard with the neighborhood kids or making up a game in the basement in the middle of winter because you can't go outside. That just doesn't happen as much, it seems, talking to kids now. They don't go out and play.
Now, you were a speed guy, and you know, I was a scout, and there's 5 physical things that we look at when we're evaluating players from a physical standpoint, and that's running, throwing, fielding, hitting, and power hitting, and you put them into preferential order according to the position that you play. So in certain positions, that running is really important. Let's talk about the process of getting that good. At what age did you know, wow, I'm getting pretty good and I would like to do this?
You know, speed is a funny thing. For me, speed was kind of natural. I was fast when I was little, and then I was kind of average until my junior year of high school, and then I got kind of freakishly fast, if you will. I joke when I tell this story is I think what did it for me is Dance Dance Revolution. And I don't know if you know what that game is, but we were in the combos basement, man, and we played DDR all the time. Anytime it was dark out, and I mean, we crushed it. And after that summer, that was the end of my sophomore year, going into my junior year. I mean, I just got crazy fast.
Wow, and that's just doing that quick footwork. Now that's they call it plyometrics, and you know, we didn't study the science of the game back in the day. Now there's science behind it, but that was science. That was developing fast twitch muscle fiber and coordination and quickness of feet that ends up turning you into a guy that can really run.
100%. And I say it jokingly, but I completely agree. And just being able to see the upcoming moves kind of scrolling up towards you and reacting and speaking to your body and getting it to move in a way that you have complete control of. That's kind of what sprinting was for me, is I could just kind of do things and it felt easy because I just had control over myself. I knew where my body was at all times in space. And talking to other people, I took it for granted, I would say, or like didn't realize it was that unique. But talking to others, I mean, it is unique. And especially talking to players now that, you know, they're kind of like baby giraffes. They grow a bit and they just don't know where their fingertips are anymore or where their toes are. And it's just all learning.
And also, when you're going through that as a kid and developing into a better player and becoming faster, you do leave people behind. So at what age was it where it was like, okay, now it's time for me to separate myself and really get into this?
You know, I was lucky in terms of baseball where I was with a core group of guys who we all had decided that pretty early. And on my team in high school, and we played summer ball together every year, but 8 seniors all went on to play college baseball, which for our town in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, was kind of unheard of. But we had 8 seniors that all went to play at various levels, whether it was Division I, NAIA schools, D3, and then JUCOs. So I had a group around me that were committed. And so anytime I wanted to, hey, let's go hit, or maybe I didn't want to that day, but somebody else did, like, hey, we're going to hit. It's just what we did.
That's awesome that you had that core group of kids that you could get that kind of work in with, because it's kind of hard, especially in Coeur d'Alene. It just might have been a freak thing, you know, because right now I bet you can't find that group of kids in Coeur d'Alene that want to do that work.
It's far and few between. I mean, it's been kind of cool to watch and see different kind of pods of, you know, different age groups as they come up. They kind of are committed to that, and then other ones that kind of take it for granted. And being an outsider watching it, you can see which ones are going to make it. Like there's a kid, Kyle Manzardo. He's in the big leagues now, but he's from Coeur d'Alene. And his group, man, they had it, and they loved to hit. And, you know, they had a dad Paul, who coached at NIC and then coached at the high school. And I mean, he understood what it took to truly make it or get out of here. And that's kind of what it takes. I think it takes, you know, an adult, a dad, to really say, if you guys want this, this is what it looks like. And most kids are going to say, no, I'm not going to be weird like that. I can't do it. But there are some that are like, you know what? I can do that. I want to do that. I'm in on that.
Well, it's not a bad road. Even if you don't make it all the way to the big leagues, let's talk about getting drafted, getting a chance to go out and play, and then the steps that it takes to get to the major leagues. I think that, you know, you're a guy that had the speed. You could hit a little bit, could play some defense, and now you're going to go out. And one thing we find out when we get into pro ball, everybody's good. You know, when you're on a college team, you can see a handful of guys that kind of shine, get into pro ball, and everybody's good.
100%. I think growing up in the Northwest, what I learned was that when I got to college, I had a lot more room to get better. I think guys that are, you know, from a warm weather state or are able to play year round, they get to college and they get better, no doubt. But I think I had a more room or a higher ceiling where I really improved when I got to college and got to play year round. That's one thing I really noticed. And it seemed like as I got to pro ball, I was really just kind of starting to figure it out. I was really just starting to figure out myself. And then through my professional career, I just kept getting better and better. I wasn't, and everybody gets better. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like I might have made bigger strides and had more room to make big strides where it was a little bit more noticeable.
Now, when you get drafted, what was that like for the family, and how did you feel about the journey ahead of you?
Oh, it was cool, man. You know, I got goosebumps right now. You know, that day was special. I wasn't a first rounder. I wasn't a guy that, you know, had a long list of teams that really wanted me, but the right team found me, the right scout found me, and everybody was excited. I think, you know, it's kind of funny that people that you know or know loosely hear you get drafted and they have this idea of what that is. You know, being a senior sign and a 25th round pick, it's very different than what other people might make up, where I knew I had to prove my worth every single time, every single day. And it was really not giving them a reason to let me go. And so as long as I did that, I knew I was going to get to play for a while.
In the minor leagues, we get to a point where, man, this is awesome to be here and everything, but how do I make it work financially?
Yeah, that's, for me personally, that's where it all kind of came to a head. I got traded after a year of being with the Angels to the Mets, and that kind of wiped my slate clean. Like I was no longer a 25th round pick, had to be perfect every single day to not get cut. It was the first time I could actually play and just enjoy playing. But after my second year in AAA, I mean, I had kids at that time. I had kids young, and, you know, it's like, how am I going to do this? I'm playing AAA, you know, baseball in Las Vegas, and I'm playing with guys who have, you know, all the resources and all the time to invest in this. And I don't have that. I don't have that luxury. I don't have, you know, the ability to not work during the off season and focus on training and my body and all of that. That was never my route.
We're with former professional player Kyle Johnson. We're going to go to a quick break. Don't go away. We have more when we return. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back with more from Kyle Johnson when we return right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network. Step up to the plate with EconoAir's solar services. Their solar solutions deliver unbeatable energy savings, keeping your power bills low all season long. Be a game changer. Switch to clean energy today. Sandlot listeners mention the show for an exclusive discount on maintenance or repair. Call EconoAir at 714-333-0130 and hit your energy savings out of the park.
With so many banking options out there, why choose South Bay Credit Union? As a nonprofit credit union, they're here to serve you, not shareholders. That means they're able to provide better rates, fewer fees, and more valuable benefits to empower their members to live better and do better. You want to master your money? South Bay Credit Union puts you in control of your money with everyday banking solutions. From checking accounts to home mortgages, credit cards to auto loans, their members have access to the tools they need to achieve their financial goals now and in the future.
Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball is the premier training facility in all of Greater Los Angeles. The Wrecking Yard features state-of-the-art equipment and is staffed by professional-level coaches. All Wrecking Yard coaches have played or coached at the college level or higher. Looking for a travel team this summer? We have teams ranging from 8 to 18U. Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball offers cage rentals, lessons, team instruction, camps, clinics, birthday parties, and more. Come on down to the Wrecking Yard. We'd love to have you.
Hey, this is Hall of Famer Rich Goose Gossage, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Hi, this is Jason Giambi of the Colorado Rockies, and you're listening now to The Sandlot.
This is David Eckstein from the San Diego Padres, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
This is Ferguson Jenkins, Hall of Famer, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Welcome back to The Sandlot right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM, KAVL, the Antelope Valley Sports Talk Station. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network. Now we have more from another baseball lifer, now on the business side of baseball, Kyle Johnson. We're back with Kyle Johnson. Kyle, thanks for sticking around on the Sandlot.
No problem. My pleasure.
Now, before the break, we talked a little bit about getting into the minor leagues and the challenges, and a lot of them are just financial. I mean, it's great to be out on the field every day. It's great to be improving every day because we really do when we're playing at that level. But it's the behind the scenes things, the bus rides, the lack of meal money, because when I was playing, it was $11 a day, and I think it stayed that for 21 years or something. The amount of monthly salary that you get isn't enough to really survive. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I remember, getting drafted, and, the first place I stopped was Orem, Utah. And, after a full 2 weeks, you get that first paycheck and it's $411. It's kind of a gut punch. And I didn't come from much. I never, had a whole lot growing up. So, I just grinded, and I had multiple roommates. I had, I found ways to make it work. I was really fortunate in Orem that I had this incredible host family that I'm still very close with today. But after Orem, I didn't have a host family. So it was a lot of, bunking up with guys and a lot of, sleeping on a futon on the ground.
And a lot of people don't understand that when you're a pro player, you go to spring training, you could be there 4 or 6 weeks, and you're not getting paid until you make a team and get sent to that team. And then it's 2 weeks later, you get your first check. So you're really working for free at spring training.
You are. And one of the big incentives in spring training, when I was playing, was to play well enough that you got invited to big league camp. Because then when you got to big league camp, you got the big league per diem, which was $90 a day. So if play well and get invited over there, even if it's just for the day, that's a way you can make a little bit of money in spring training.
And when you get to your assignment, and if you're an A ball, it's the 1100. If you're fortunate enough to jump a level and get to AA and AAA, the salaries do go up. And then if you have service time at those levels, they go up more. But it's only during the season, and it's certainly not enough so that you could not have an off-season job. You have to work in the off-season because you're not getting paid, and you just make enough money to save anything during the season.
No, there's no saving. And towards the end of my minor league career, that was a big thing for me, as I joined the lawsuit against MLB and to fight for, wages for minor league guys. And I was one of 5 or 6 named plaintiffs on that really were kind of at the front line of making it so MLB needed to make some changes. And they've made changes. They are paying guys more. They are treating them better. And that was my whole hope in joining that lawsuit was, for me, it's kind of whatever, but I wanted to make sure that guys had at least an opportunity going forward to actually, put their best foot and their best self in a position that they could try to make a big league team. And financial is a huge part of that. If you can take care of yourself, your body, and your family, well, then you get to play baseball and you get to play, have a chance to play at a high level. But if you can't even afford food, or, you're constantly worried about your family, there's no chance you can separate from that and just go play, a game.
And just to put it into perspective, when I was playing before expansion, there was 26 teams, 180 guys in the minor leagues and 25 in the big leagues. So a couple hundred players times 26 teams. That's not a lot of professional baseball players. Now, 660 of them were at the top level, really getting paid nicely. But that you're right there and you're part of a group of only around 4,000 professionals, and you're not getting paid enough to survive. And there's this massive wage discrepancy between a major leaguer and a minor leaguer. To me, it seemed to me when you're that close, it should be more relative and give us a chance to have the proper nutrition and have maybe a trainer on the side that we can afford and be able to, comfortably live with our family members in a way that we're not stressed.
100%. And I don't think any minor league guy would say they need to make $1 million a year, but to make enough that your basic needs are met and you're not having to stress away from the field, that's all I ever asked for. And that's all I was ever, hoping for, is that just enough to not have to worry, man. And MLB has stepped up, and I mean, they've changed some things and it is getting better. But I remember the off seasons just needing to go find a job and needing to work. And then also just feeling that pressure of I'm not hitting enough, I'm not throwing enough, I'm not running enough, I'm not doing the things I need to do to make sure that I'm ready when I arrive, next February, March, to go make a club.
Yeah, it should be year round so that you don't have to have that off-season job and you can continue to work on your strength and conditioning and nutrition.
Yeah, and then, you're hearing stories about minor league guys, even now, having to freaking do DoorDash and different things after games just to have some spending money. It's like, gosh, man. That shouldn't be the case.
No,
there's too much money in baseball at the highest level. It seems off.
It just needs to be relative. It doesn't need to be
100%.
And like you said, enough to survive and above poverty level for sure. And if you do the math on the amount of hours, because a baseball minor league season, 142 games, and half of them being on the road. So that means you pack up all your stuff and you're going for 10 days or whatever. You're staying in a hotel. You get a little bit of meal money. Back when I was playing, it was $11. I don't know what it is today, but it's not enough. And
I think it was 25.
25. That's close. Better.
Yeah.
But, $11 was Denny's once, and you're really not provided with enough to survive. So you think about the hourly wage. There is a standard in our country that you should get paid for any job, at least this amount of money. I know for a fact when I was playing, we were making way less than minimum wage just due to the fact that you got to put the travel in, you got to put the bus rides in, you got to all your time away when you're not doing your own thing. It's a lot of hours. And for the amount of pay, is minuscule per hour wage.
100%. And that was a big thing in the lawsuit and, kind of the back and forth is really trying to get down and figure out the hours that guys were putting in and what really was an hour and what was just you're saying you're at the field, but are you really working? And that part of it always, I don't know, it really got under my skin because as you know, and any baseball player knows, to really play at the highest level, I mean, it takes time and it takes repetition and it takes a mental fortitude like none other. And to put a watch on that, or a clock is just kind of you just don't get it. You know what I mean? You just don't understand.
And the amount of players that endured it, you get rewarded when you get to the big leagues. There's no doubt about it. But when you're that close, you should be getting rewarded as well, at least at a level where you're not having to worry.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, the best part was, the other big leaguers, when they come down and in AA or AAA rehabbing and, they'd get the taco truck to come out and feed everybody after the game. I mean, that was always awesome. So, I mean, there are definitely some big league guys that did their best to take care of the minor league guys when they could. But to the overall point, yeah, it would have been nice.
Going back to 1995, going through the strike, I sat in a room at the Biltmore in the audience with a bunch of minor league players. And there was a few big leaguers on the stage. And I'll never forget this statement. Brett Butler said, because of what we are doing here today, one day, one guy will make $10 million a year to play this game. And it's kind of blown way past that, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well past that. Yes.
Now, every roster's got a $30 million man on it, if not a couple.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
So I'm just saying, share the wealth. There should be a minor league union. Those guys should be protected. They shouldn't have to work in the off season. They should make enough money so that they can live comfortably. And that would make a lot of sense to, I would say, pretty much everyone in this country.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now, you're out of baseball, but you're in baseball because you decided, and a lot of guys do this, they figure out, how do I stay in the game? How do I continue my path? I'm not going to be a player. And now that I've done this against MLB, I probably won't be a coach in one of these organizations, but I can do something cool. Let's talk about Athlete Locker and how cool that is.
Yeah, so I started a company, Big League Locker. It's been a blast to kind of start and get off the ground and get it to where it is now. What we're doing now is we just launched our own brand of, sports-specific apparel. So every month we drop a new T-shirt and hoodie with a cool baseball guy design that's unique. And we actually do it for baseball. We do it for hockey, soccer, volleyball, and softball. So every month we're dropping a new design. And it's stuff that, we would wear in the clubhouse. Every design has some hidden meaning, hidden layers that not everybody's going to understand. But if you're a baseball guy, you're going to see it and it's going to make sense to you. And if it doesn't make sense to you, it makes you want to ask about it. Hey, what does that mean? What's that piece? So it starts the conversation, and it's something I wanted to do for a long time. And, we're a few months into doing it month over month, and gosh, I'm enjoying the heck out of it.
He's a former professional baseball player, now turned baseball entrepreneur. He's got the Big League Locker. Check it out. Is it bigleaguelocker.com?
Yeah, bigleaguelocker.com.
So Kyle, now that you have this cool baseball business, you've been through the ringer with MLB. What's the future look like with your relationship with baseball?
I am a baseball lifer, like I would, a lot of other guys. I still do one-on-one hitting lessons with kids in my neighborhood here. I live Coeur d'Alene, Spokane now. And so I still do one-on-one lessons, and that scratches my baseball itch and keeps me around the game. I love baseball and will always be a big part of my life.
He's Kyle Johnson. Thanks so much for being a guest on The Sandlot.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the second Sandlot show of the 2025 season. You can listen to The Sandlot every Saturday morning right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. Also streamed live on 610foxsports.com. You can catch replays of this year's and past season's episodes on the Sandlot Radio Show SoundCloud page. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Sandlot Radio Show for video content with the players. We also have links to YouTube and Spotify. Please explore the SandlotRadioNetwork.com website to check out reels and images from our long history of covering everything from the Sandlot to the big leagues. If you're interested in advertising your business on the Sandlot Radio Show, give us a call at 303-350-0655 or send us a message through the SandlotRadioNetwork.com website. We want to thank our guest on today's show, former Major League shortstop with the Rockies, Astros, Pirates, and Padres, now assistant coach for his son Wyatt's Berthoud High School baseball team, Clint Butch Barmes, for being a guest host in our Who's Hot, Who's Not opening segment. Also, I'd like to thank former professional player and founder of Athlete Locker, Kyle Johnson. Be sure to tune in next week as we'll have more great guests all season long. The Sandlot is sponsored by Econoware, South Bay Credit Union, Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball, and Max Graphics and Printing. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network. The Sandlot, it's where everybody plays. It's a place of our own. It's our field. It's our neighborhood. It's our team. It's our home. I'm your host, Tad Powers.
Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
The heat was unbearable. My AC was striking out and my house felt like a summer game with no shade. Then I called Econoware. What a game changer. They knocked the heat out of the park and now I'm comfortable year-round. Give Econoware a call today at 714-333-0130. That's 714-333-0130. Sandlot listeners mention the show for an exclusive discount on maintenance or repair with Econoware.
Looking for printed apparel for your school, business, sports team, or company event? Max Graphics LA is your solution. Go to maxgraphicla.com today and check out our options. We offer screen printing, embroidery, and more on clothes from major suppliers. Our graphic designers can help you with your logo or design. We also offer custom online retail shops where we take care of all orders and fulfillment. Visit our website at maxgraphicla.com or call 310-595-1195 today to get started.